David Maurice Robinson, also known as the Admiral. Robinson was a lean and strong 7'1" center who was a force on both sides of the basketball. His greatest days were throughout the 90s, where it was easy to sometimes be overshadowed amidst all of the elite bigs at the time. In Robinson's prime, he had to compete in the paint with the likes of Shaq, Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, Alonzo Mourning, and Takembe Mutombo. Despite the stiff competition, David managed to put up some incredible numbers over his career, worthy of the Basketball Hall of Fame. But the question is, just how good was Robinson really? Where does he rank among the great centers of his era, and among the greatest centers of all time? To answer that question, let's start at the beginning of his career. Robinson was drafted in 1987 with the first overall pick by the San Antonio Spurs. Unfortunately for the Spurs, Robinson was still serving in the U.S. Navy, and the team had to wait 2 years before Robinson would actually make his debut with the organization. Turns out the wait was well worth it. Robinson's 1989 rookie campaign is still one of the greatest rookie seasons in NBA history. The year before Robinson made his debut for San Antonio, the Spurs were terrible and were the third worst team in the league with a record of 21-61. There were several major additions following that ugly season, but the biggest one was the 24-year-old rookie they called the Admiral. And under his leadership and impact, the Spurs made what was at the time the greatest improvement in NBA history, going from a 21-61 team to an elite 56-26 team, which was good enough for the third best record in the Western Conference. When you take a look at Robinson's numbers that year, it's pretty clear how the Spurs were able to make such an improvement. As a rookie, he played all 82 games, averaged 24.3 points, 12 rebounds, and an absurd 3.9 blocks per game while shooting 53% from the field. He led the team all the way to the Western Conference semifinals, where they ultimately lost in 7 games to the Western Conference champion Portland Trail Blazers. From that point on, Robinson's monstrous career wasn't looking back. From 1989 to 1996, he averaged 25.6 points, 11.8 rebounds, and 3.6 blocks on 53% shooting, and he was an all-star each of those years. He started piling up accolades as well. In 1991, he was the rebounds champion. In 1992, he was the Defensive Player of the Year while averaging a historic 4.5 blocks per game. That's the 7th highest single-season average in NBA history. With a block per game average that high, imagine how many shots he altered that season. He's basically the definition of the ideal rim protector. He was a scoring champion in 1994, averaging 29.8 points per game, and he was the league MVP in 1995. He was arguably the best big man on both sides of the ball during his prime. Year in and year out, he was in the discussion, although of course there were times other bigs got the best of him. The biggest example of this was in the 1995 Western Conference Finals between Hakeem's Rockets and Robinson's Spurs. Hakeem was out of his mind that series and averaged 35 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.3 steals, and 4.2 blocks, while Robinson just put up his usual numbers. Many have used this series as a criticism to Robinson's legacy, but I honestly think that's a bit ridiculous. Hakeem is a top 5 center of all time. Him having a historic performance over another great center should be more of a praise to Hakeem than it is a criticism to his opponent. In the years after that, Robinson looked to bounce back, but a back injury early in the 1997 season made that difficult. He missed most of that season, but eventually returned to play in just 6 regular season games before he then broke his foot. His championship hopes seemed to be over, with the Spurs finishing as a 20-62 team that year. Oddly enough, this actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Thanks to that poor season, they had a spot in the draft lottery, and they struck gold by landing the first overall pick, which then became the legendary Tim Duncan. Robinson now had the second superstar he needed to break through, and in only their second season together, they won the 1999 NBA championship. He won his second championship in the 2003 season. At this point, Robinson was only making a small contribution of 8 points and 8 rebounds, but under Duncan's lead, it was enough to get it done once again. Robinson's championships came in the twilight of his career, but his accolades came earlier on when he appeared to be one of the most dominant two-way players in NBA history. A prime Robinson could basically do it all, and no game better symbolized that than on February 17, 1994 against the Detroit Pistons. In this contest, David had 34 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 blocks, giving him the illustrious quadruple-double. In the history of the NBA, only 4 players have ever recorded a quadruple-double, and Robinson is the most recent instance when he did it 25 years ago. In total, he was a 10-time All-Star, made 10 All-NBA teams, and made 8 All-Defense teams to go along with his MVP, Defensive Player of the Year award, and his 2 NBA championships. He was an elite scorer, rebounder, and defender, and he has the 4th highest career blocks per game average of all time. If you're in a discussion about the greatest centers of NBA history, you'll hear the usual names, like Russell, Chamberlain, Kareem, Shaq, and Hakeem. That's a solid top 5. But if Robinson isn't one of the next 2 names you add to that list, well then quite frankly, that's a crime in my mind. Let me know in the comment section where you rank David Robinson, and let me know if you think he would be the best big in the game if he played today. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.